Good day. Today there will be a video especially for English-speaking lovers of streptocarpuses. Probably this video will be useful to all lovers of streptocarpus, but I will pay attention to some nuances of cultivations that are specific to the American continent. So the first is water. A lot of mistakes are related to irrigation water. As we know, water is the most important thing in growing all plants. I noticed that even experienced breeders make this mistake, and this problem is not always correctly diagnosed. This is the use of water purified by filters. And here it is worth paying attention to the fact that there are filters with ion exchange resins. They are very often used on the American continent, very often. The problem is that these filters, especially when softening water, replaced potassium and magnesium. These are hardness salts with sodium. In this way, the water is softened, but these filters are designed specifically for people. Sodium is safe for humans, absolutely safe. As we know, the main element in our blood is sodium, not potassium. Potassium in our blood is 20 times less than sodium. This is why, when water is purified, ion exchange resins are used, which replace calcium with sodium. It is safe and normal for humans, but it is poisonous for plants. A large amount of sodium poisons the plant. All plants without exception. The most important mineral for a plant is potassium. If we have 20 times more sodium than potassium, in plants everything is the opposite. The plant has more potassium, 10 times more than sodium. And if small amounts of potassium are needed by the plant, then they are so insignificant that it can be completely neglected. And if there is a large amount of sodium, the plants will be poisoned. You have to pay a lot of attention to this. What water purification filters do you use? I noticed that such filters with ion exchange resins are very often used in America. It turns out that the flower lover transplants his plants with purified water, not suspecting that with each watering the amount of sodium increases. And the moment comes when the dose of this sodium becomes toxic and the plant begins to be poisoned. That is, first of all, it begins with marginal necrosis. We have a video. It is also translated into English about marginal necrosis. So one of its reasons is watering with water with an excess of sodium. If you don't know what filters you are using, ask the experts or eventually send it to me. Write to me on Facebook in the topic Streptocarpus. Our group is Streptocarpus. So write there which filter you have, passport data, what is inside it, and I will help to find out whether it is possible to use this filter. Optimal for watering. If you have bad water, then you need to use a filter with reverse osmosis. And that's it, nothing more. No mineralizers, no ion exchange resin required. It's not necessary, it's harmful to the plant. Now about watering. Some think that it is necessary to water when the streptocarpus is completely dry. The substrates will dry completely. Some even allow such a condition that the streptocarpus withers. The leaves lose turgor. This is an extreme. Of course, this does not harm streptocarpus as much as its constant flooding, that is excessive watering, but it still harms streptocarpus. Ideally, streptocarpus should be watered when the top layer is dry and the bottom layer of the substrate is still wet. And this time, watering should be carried out. About the substrate. No need to reinvent the wheel. I will recommend a guaranteed quality substrate that is sold on the American continent and is 100% suitable for almost all plants, especially streptocarpus. Here, Olenka, please show me. The main pro is mix HP. If you do not succeed in growing streptocarpus, and you think that the problem is in the substrate, and very often this is the case, then buy this substrate and this problem will not exist. It won't happen at all. You don't need to add anything. This substrate already contains perlite and all fertilizers. It has everything. And in general, my advice for beginners, and not only beginners, professionals already know this. The fewer components in the substrate, the better the growth as a rule. Many people think that it is necessary to put a lot of things into the substrate, as many components as possible to make it better. This is a myth. The simpler the substrate, the better the effect as a rule. About pots. Here I have pots that are optimal for growing streptocarpus. The diameter is approximately equal to the height of the pot. It doesn't need to be tall and doesn't need to be wide. Both of them do not fit perfectly. In a tall pot, the roots do not reach the very bottom, and in a wide pot, the evaporation of moisture is too great, and you just have to water more often. So we take pots such as I show. As an exemption, you can use such cups, but as an economy. If you pay attention, the ratio of leaves to the volume of the substrate of the pot should be approximately like this. That is, ideally, streptocarpus should completely cover the entire substrate. If the roots do not cover the entire substrate, then the pot is not chosen correctly. It is too large. In a month, the roots should completely cover the substrate. If the roots do not cover the substrate in a month, then the pot is too big. Here is a 3-inch diameter pot that's 7.5 centimeter. That's 9 centimeter. That's a little less than 4 inches. I'm saying inches for Americans. As a general rule, for modern varieties of Streptocarpus, the maximum volume is 4 inches.
4 дюйма. Вот, как правило, 4 дюйма это уже
I have all these Streptocarpuses growing in 4-inch pots.
в 4-дюймовых горшках.
Now I will show you
Покажу. Вот, видите?
4 inches.
4 дюйма.
No more
Не
needed.
нужно. Вот этот
Here
Streptocarpus
is
вот
the
с такими
Streptocarpus with such leaves
растет
growing in an 11
в
centimeter
11
pot.
сантиметрах. То есть
It
это
is 4 inches
4 дюйма
and a little more,
чуть-чуть,
not 5
не
inches.
5 дюймов. 5
5
дюймов
inches
это
is a very large
очень большой
pot.
горшок. Очень большой горшок.
This is
Это нужно,
necessary
чтобы
for the
Streptocarpus
Streptocarpus
был
to
такой
be
большой
very large.
Почему
Why are there such errors
такие
in
ошибки
cultivation?
выращивания? Почему люди берут
Why do people
большие
take big
горшки?
pots?
Потому что
Because
старая
the old
селекция
selection of Streptocarpuses,
все сорта,
all
не все
varieties,
сорта,
not,
большинство
well,
сортов
not
старой
all
селекции,
varieties, but
они
most
все
varieties of
огромные.
old
И
selections,
вот за
they
последние
are all
10-20
huge.
лет
And for the last 10-20 years, the
уменьшение
selection of
розет,
Streptocarpus is going to reduce the rosette. And the inertia, that is, the agricultural techniques of cultivation, more often than not, especially in America, it lags behind the selection.
быстрее
So let's quickly adapt to new varieties, especially to our selection, diametries.
сильно делаем
We
акцент
put a lot of emphasis on breeding compact varieties
компактных,
with short leaves.
короткими листьями.
And for new selection, especially
Особенно это
DS diametries, the pots should be chosen smaller. Speaking about the temperature,
идеальная температура.
the ideal temperature for Streptocarpus is 18 to 20 degrees Celsius and Fahrenheit is 64 to 72. Streptocarpus differs from violets in that they can withstand lower temperatures down to 0 degrees. For example, in winter, when there is a lack of light and the temperature can drop to +5, this is not a problem for Streptocarpuses.
Стрептокарпусов это не проблема.
But Streptocarpuses are very difficult to tolerate high temperatures.
Больше 20
More than 25 degrees is not good for Streptocarpus.
не очень
It's
хорошо.
above
По Фаренгейту
80 Fahrenheit.
это, по Фаренгейту выше 80. Это уже
That's matter for Streptocarpus. It is not scary if it is short term, 1-2 hours, but if this temperature lasts long, more than 80 degrees Fahrenheit, then Streptocarpus poisoning will begin and it will be impossible to save it.
будет невозможно.
About lighting. Streptocarpuses can be grown in natural light or under lamps.
Самые лучшие лампы
The best lamps for growing Streptocarpus are full spectrum.
как же он называется?
Full spectrum.
Я правильно говорю? Full спектр.
Here are such long lamps, and at such height,
И вот на такой высоте,
if we take such
если
a
мы
wide
берем
shelf,
вот такую полку шириной,
then 2 lamps are enough.
две лампы.
If you want
Две лампы.
Streptocarpus to bloom very profusely,
Очень обязательно
then you can put 3 lamps.
три лампы.
That is, Streptocarpuses need twice as much light as violets.
В 2 раза. Конечно, они могут расти.
Of course, they can grow under 1 lamp,
Но если вы
but if you want them to bloom abundantly, then they need more light than violets, at least twice.
3 лампы
3 lamps.
о болезнях и
About diseases and pests.
Моя практика
My practice for more than 20 years shows that Streptocarpus has one biggest pest and it is very large. It is usually visible in a mirror. In 90%, even 95% of the time, this pest is exactly the one you can see in the mirror. Usually people spray some unnecessary drugs, do not correctly diagnose the problem. We have a video on marginal necrosis. It's translated into English, and if you have any problems with Streptocarpus, the first thing you should watch is this video on marginal necrosis. 95% of all problems with Streptocarpus are related to marginal necrosis. That is with a bad substrate, with bad water, with incorrect watering, incorrect use of fertilizers. About pests. Of course, Streptocarpus have pests. They are very small and it is impossible to see them with naked eye. This is a flat-bodied mite. It most often affects the veins. That is, you need to turn the leaf from the reverse side to look at the veins. It can also infect the upper part of Streptocarpus. Most often it is also on veins. And thrips. Thrips eat the more delicate part of the leaf. It can be seen between the veins. You can see it at a magnification of at least 10 times because these pests are very, very small. They are less than 1 millimeter, 1/3 of a millimeter. That is very small. You can see them only through some magnification. You can also blow on them and see if the dots move. If the dots move, then most likely they are pests. Damage from pests, as a rule, differs from damage from incorrect agricultural techniques, from marginal necrosis. Marginal necrosis is also called because the lesion starts from the edge of the leaf. If the damage is caused by a pest, then the leaf is affected, and if the entire leaf is evenly distributed. Pay attention. It from the edge, then most likely it is not a pest. Pesticides. I recommend buying pesticides at farmers' markets. Why for farmers? Because it is difficult to deceive the farmer. He knows the subject. He knows how to count money. Effectively, drugs are usually sold in these stores. Online stores that sell one or two products should be avoided, which they make themselves. More often than not, this is a deception. You need to look especially carefully at the active substrate. That is, you need to read not the name and what it is made of. If it is not a deception, then the composition and active substances will definitely be written. It is by the active ingredients that you can understand what kind of drug it is. If the active substance is not written, then, as a rule, it is a deception. Preparations based on oil, alcohol, they are not 100% effective, and they are suitable for restraining the reproduction of pests. They will have an effect, but you will not get rid of pests 100%. So you need to use effective drugs that are sold in stores for farmers.
О формировании розеток.
About the formation of sockets, new varieties require more modern rosette care technology. First of all,
Розетками. Вот в первую
you need to be able
нужно
to remove the stepsons. Exactly the stepsons that need to be removed when growing violets. Streptococcuses also have stepchildren. Let us see. The fact is that there is a myth that the more leaves the streptococcus has, the more flowers it has. This is not true at all. The excessive number of leaves exhausts the streptococcus. They thicken each other. The leaves receive less light and produce fewer flowers. That is, there are many leaves, but these leaves give few flowers and few flower stalks. Now we will zoom in and see what stepsons are and how to remove them. Stepchildren which are necessary to be removed. See, it's very simple.
Удаляем, не нужен.
It is not necessary. Here is the stepson 2.
Все это удаляем.
Here is the stepson.
Вот пасынок.
We have to leave one outlet.
Одну розетку.
Here, we leave one outlet.
Вот одну розетку мы оставляем, все остальное мы удаляем. Вот здесь вот.
We delete the rest. Here you can see that we will delete a lot.
Удалим. Пасынки растут ниже
The
цветоносок.
stepsons grow below the peduncles.
Ниже.
See below. Here is the flower stalk.
Если
If there is anything growing below, such as leaves, this is usually the stepson.
это нужно удалить.
It should be removed.
Мы удалили
See how many extra leaves there are.
листьев.
They are not
Они
needed.
не нужны. И
And modern
современные
varieties, as a
сорта,
rule,
современные
need to be
сорта,
grown
как правило, нужно
in
выращивать
one
в
rosette.
одну розетку.
If you do not manage to achieve good flowering,
достичь хорошего цветения,
try to grow only in one rosette. About fertilizers. Streptococcuses cannot be fertilized at all. If you are having trouble growing streptococcus, try not to fertilize at all. It is better to transplant. Now I will tell you the way when you will be 100% successful in growing streptococcus. You take such a child and transplant it into 3-inch pot.
3 дюйма. Горшочек 3 дюйма. Вот такую детку.
After 1.5 to 2 months, transplant into a slightly larger pot, 3.5 inches. After another 1.5 months, in 4-inch. In another month and a half or 2, it's 4.5 inches, and the maximum pot that can be used for growing streptococcus is 5 inches. No more needed. Practically all modern varieties, especially our selection Dimitris, are very compact, and it is better to grow them in a small attic. Then there will be fewer problems. Now about the seemingly capricious varieties. In fact, capricious varieties do not exist. The fact is that modern Streptocarpus hybrids are very, very different. They are more diverse than violets. They have a greater variety of genes. Much more, dozens of times. It turns out that if you treat all Streptocarpus in the same way, then you will be able to grow only those varieties for which the conditions are suitable. And those which need conditions that are slightly different, you will think that they are capricious. What are the mistakes? The first mistake is the choice of a pot. Often choosing a pot that is too big. This is the first mistake when Streptocarpus is given a pot to grow, and it does not cover the entire substrate and starts to rot. Therefore, remove the Streptocarpus from the pot if you think it is capricious and examine the root system. If the root system is not rich, not developed, then most likely the pot chosen is too large. If you use fertilizer for Streptocarpus, then too much is a very common mistake. Many modern varieties do not need fertilizers at all. Many people refer to growing Streptocarpus as to growing violets. But Streptocarpus is different from violets and does not need violet fertilizer. Fertilizers for violets often contain a lot of phosphorus. Streptocarpus does not need an excess of phosphorus. So Streptocarpus is a very good toy for creative people. Try to approach the Streptocarpus creatively, individually, and you will get great pleasure from it. And the Streptocarpus will thank you with a lush flower. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank all our buyers of our varieties. It gives us the opportunity to continue our breeding activities and shoot videos in which we share our experience in Streptocarpus farming. Let's talk a little about the varieties of Streptocarpus which decorate our today's video. Let's start with this. This variety is called My Heart. It has a number of 2,444. Then starry, huge red flower. In this case, the flower is young and will grow. It will be 4 inches, by the way. See how compact the rosette is. Further. This is DS Bella Ciao, a bright red, very potent strain. Blue is Aphrodite's roulette, a frilly variety that is completely trouble-free to grow, grows very well, reproduces very well, blooms without problems, one of the best roulettes. A little below this one, there is no name yet. It must be given to it. It is under the registration number 2485. We will definitely give it a name. We are moving here. Here you probably already know this variety. It is Joy XXL, the dark version. It is more stable, and as you can see, there is not a single mishapen flower. This version has 90% repeatability by variety.
повторяемости по сорту.
Large, bright flowers.
Рядом
Nearby is a compact fantasia with low peduncles.
очень темный.
Very dark, almost black, with bright red fantasy this is lava. Number 2487. White,
Беленький,
dense, terry, compact, fragrant
очень ароматный.
meringue.
Мэрил.
And our good old variety,
Один из лучших
one of the best types of fantasies of our old selection. And by the way, it is still the best in its line.
своей линейки.
It's fireworks. Compact, bright, just super.
Просто супер.
Subscribe to our channel. There will be new videos. Bye.